Any thoughts on how to combine conditioning with strength in a single session? Only got time for one a day to train realistically. So, if this depends on what you're doing, Podrick. I've seen Podrick's name a lot before, but I can't remember. I don't know if he's a weightlifter. So, if you are a field sports athlete, Podrick, then you will typically always strength first. So, high skill, lower fatiguing movements come first. Fine motor pattern ones always go first in a session, and then absolute strength stuff comes first, and then our conditioning will come after. But there's if you are not primarily a field sport athlete who has conditioning is a huge priority, I would recommend getting your conditioning in through kind of higher activity, neat levels outside the day. So going for a 10-minute walk in the morning, like a 15-minute walk after lunch, and then a 15-minute walk again in the evening, as opposed to multiple split sessions. However, if you are I suppose a real athlete to be termed, and we haven't used that term in a while. I think people get offended because they don't know. We're just talking non-strength sport athletes. So start with your strength stuff always first, and then work your way down into the conditioning.
Yeah, I think the difference here is what level of conditioning do you need to get to?
Yes.
If it's conditioning for either of us, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to have a heart attack when I'm in my 40s, and I want to be able to walk up and down stairs and recover well in between sets. Your level of conditioning is never huge, right? If you're playing a field sport and you're on the pitch for 80 or 90 minutes and you're sprinting and stopping, doing a lot of like low level work as well as high level work, your conditioning is just so much more complicated and there's so much more volume involved.
You need separate training sessions for that then. Like you need to just do that once, pick that day and make it the strength day or your conditioning day. Like you need to, you can't fit both of those in. Like quality over quantity there in terms of that, really.
And on that project, like say if you're really time constrained, right? If you're, let's just put it down whereby you're barely able to do this and you have 2 sessions a week where you need to do some strength and some conditioning. Do some strength in one session and some conditioning in the other session, and it'll be far better than doing like a fucking high intensity activity thermogenesis session where you're doing fucking strength training and conditioning all at the same time.
Wait a bunch is like.
Yeah.
Erico says, Garth looking sharp. Thank you so much, Erico. I appreciate that.
He is. It's a lovely shirt.
It's a great shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know what brand it is though. We should come out with Seeker shirts at some point.
Yeah.
They're lovely. Okay, here's a good question. Anthony, sorry, I didn't cut you off there. So it's what's a reasonable acceptable rest interval between a hard set of squat? 10 reps at 75 to 80%. So
10 reps at 80% is outrageous.
What would that be for? I'm just going to think that is.
That's 180%.
80%?
Yeah.
No, that's not that much. I can do that. Well, yeah.
Yeah, but you're also really well disposed to high rep squats.
What would that be for you? What would that be for you, Kate? What's your max? 230?
230.
Times 0.8. You should definitely be able to do 185 sets.
Yeah, I've done 180 for 10.
Rest time for multiple sets of those. So for strength training, the main thing you always need to worry about in terms of resting is that you return to normal. So outside of a work capacity area or a high volume session where the idea is to build up enough work capacity and do a lot of work in a short time period, for strength training, the most amount of rest that you need to get back into shape to do the next set is what dictates how long you should be resting, unless it's a specified period of training where less rest is the goal to elicit some other kind of biological, physiological response. So if you've got 3x10 at 80% and it takes you half an hour to do that, that is A-okay in most scenarios. It shouldn't take you that long to do that, but if that's what it takes you right now, then that is okay. If it takes you outside of, if you're not recovered within like a minute and a half, you're probably out of condition, and I would definitely be looking at getting your condition up and getting into better shape because it'll make you a better lifter. But if that's the case and you need longer, then take longer. So quality over quantity in terms of like reducing that frequency in strength training, absolute strength, as long as you possibly need. I've taken at least a really heavy sets of 5x5 at like 2:30 or something before. It's taken like an hour to do them.
Yeah.
That's just it wasn't because I wasn't recovered. It's because I was like, no.